In what might be, just possibly, the most on-the-nose example of consequences for your actions, the openSUSE Linux project, which has spent the better part of the last 2 years mass banning conservatives and centrists, is now having a hard time finding anyone to run for the open board seats on their board of directors. So here's how this works. Every election cycle, the 6-member board of directors for the openSUSE projects, 3 of those members come up for election, right? So they elect half of the board every election cycle. Okay, so there's 3 open seats available. As of December 2nd, which was the end of the nomination period, not one human being had been nominated by themselves or anyone else to run for those seats, which means there was absolutely no one to vote for 50% of the board of directors for the openSUSE project. To give you a little backstory here, about 2 years ago, back in early 2023, really this was the end of 2022 leading into this, openSUSE began rather aggressively attacking any sort of semblance of a conservative idea, right? And one of the most prominent examples of that, though there were many, was openSUSE was regularly flying a gay pride and LGBTQ pride flag, right? One individual, one guy said, do we really need to fly any sort of flag that's other than that of our project? Maybe we'll just stay out of politics in general. You know, we just won't do any flag. We won't promote any sort of politics. Is that a better idea? Literally. One guy asked the question, should we be political in any way? Maybe we'll just be a tech project, right? That guy was banned from the project for being a transphobe or bigot or something like that. This resulted in a wave of people going, hey, hold on. You can't go around just banning people because they asked a question whether we should be political or not. All of those people were perceived to be too conservative, and most of them were then banned from the project. And then I covered the event of mass bannings that was going on because I was getting inundated with people emailing me saying, Lunduke, they're banning like all of us from the openSUSE project. People who had been members and contributors, and in some cases past board members for years and years and years. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. So I reached out, I asked a question about it, and they banned me too. And here's the crazy thing. I was a past board member of the openSUSE project, right? I was elected to the openSUSE board years ago. I helped run the gosh darn thing. I was one of the more public faces of it, and they banned me too. They were just going on a crazy ban happy spree. It was nonstop, and it wasn't terribly surprising. It wasn't the only example of this. I mean, shoot, their CEO at the time, a lady named Melissa D. Donato, regularly posted about how conservatives are bigoted and all these horrible things, and how SUSE would never again be conservative or bigoted country like or company like that. It was this really big, intense pressing to be non-conservative and non-centrist, to be a hard left-leaning tech project and tech company. Well, now, after roughly 2 years of banning and attacking anyone who would even just exude a tiny little tidbit of conservativeness, there's no one left. There's absolutely no one left. So they had to put this little message out there. They're like, hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and extend the nomination period for the openSUSE board because nobody ran. So they've spent the better part of a month trying to find someone, and they still haven't done it. They extended it through Saturday, December 14th. And they still don't have candidates. It looked like, looking through the mailing list, there was one guy who was like, maybe I'll think about it. And there was another person that was also expressed some questions about it, and it promptly got attacked by other people, and it turned political. So as far as I can tell, I don't know if they're going to have elections at all because there's no people to run. And I found this story fascinating because we're seeing so much of this occur in massive numbers of technical projects and foundations throughout like the Linux world and even beyond. Nix OS is one of the great examples. So Nix OS, a big Linux project, did mass purges of anyone who was centrist or conservative. And the end result is that a lot of the people who were very productive, in some cases the most productive, are no longer even allowed to be in the project. And we're seeing other things happen similarly throughout the whole open source sphere. And this is something that many people have been saying for quite some time. If you alienate and ostracize and ban people based on their political ideas just by expressing an idea, eventually you're going to alienate some pretty important people for your project, right? In this case, in the case of openSUSE, it's gotten so dire where they can't even find people willing to try to be on the board, let alone be good enough to be elected. They can't even find people willing to even try, right? If you have a project and you ban everyone who disagrees with you on a political topic, eventually you have a project that is just yourself. That is just how it works. And it's amazing to see this happen. I don't know what's going to end up happening with the openSUSE project and with their board and with their election. They may just have to change the number of people on the board so it's just constantly less and less people, which the company SUSE that oversees openSUSE probably wouldn't mind, because it would just kind of get rid of all of the community control over the project entirely and turn it into a fully corporate project, which maybe is their plan all along. I don't know. But I think this is an interesting case study, and I think a lot of other projects should look at this and say, what happened with openSUSE? They went hard political, right? They went real hard political. They waved political flags. They banned anyone who said, should we be political? Just for saying, maybe I don't think we should be political. Banned, right? Anyone who was centrist, conservative, or even just leftist, but not hard enough left, was kicked out of the project, and now they're crumbling. They're absolutely falling to pieces because there's nobody left willing to run such a project. No one wants to put themselves in that position of being attacked for their politics to run a technical project. And no one is left who they haven't banned who just is capable and ready to step up anyway. I think the other projects that are out there, all the other Linux projects and programming language projects and foundations, it might be worth taking a hard look at what's happening here, because this is happening to you. What went on with openSUSE is not a one-off. We're seeing this with dozens and dozens of similar projects across the Linux world. Take a look at what's happening. This is your future. It ain't a bright one. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for allowing me to to vent and point a little flashlight at all these sorts of things. Go to lunduke.com and you can find links of where to watch and listen and read and support and subscribe and all those wonderful things to the Lunduke Journal. Again, lunduke.com. You can get this show and the articles I write almost anywhere. I mean, local, Substack, X, Patreon, Facebook, YouTube. You can even download the DRM free MP4 versions if you want. Just go to lunduke.com. A million options there. There's gonna be something available to you. And one of the reasons that the Lunduke Journal is available on so many platforms is because so many countries and platforms have such strict censorship laws. There are certain platforms that I publish to that you cannot get in certain countries. For example, if you live in Brazil, you cannot watch my content on Locals, right? Because Locals does not give in to censorship requests from government agencies. And because of that, Brazil was like, well, we'll just try and sue you out of existence. So you just can't get Locals content in Brazil, which is a shame. But if you look through lunduke.com, you'll be able to find some way to get my content and to support the work that I do, pretty much no matter what country you live in. It's fantastic that way. And thank you to all the subscribers for keeping this big tech free and able to speak my own mind. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes, across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.